Hey guys, Joe from J&M here. Thanks for clicking on the video. This week we have about 300 square foot driveway patio extension. Stick around for us excavating it, laying rebar, framing, and then pouring it. Hopefully you guys like what you see. Leave us a like, subscribe. Thanks guys. This job had a couple of elements to it. Apart from doing the concrete, we were gonna grade the yard. Luckily, everything up against the patio, the soil was really hard, but not so hard that the 85 couldn't do it. If we would have had our old S70, we would have struggled a little bit on this. But apart from that, grade out the yard. We went down about a foot around the perimeter just to make sure it was nothing but a bed of class 6. After that, we kept sending my wife to go get trips, and in between trips, I was grading out the yard. And with this 85, I mean, it was a breeze. The strength it has to plow through the dirt. I mean, our old S70 wouldn't have been able to keep up or do it at all. So I'm glad we had that on the site. It wasn't perfect grading. It's just since we were there and we didn't want another company's equipment going over our concrete to grade the yard after we did our work, we decided to do some of it ourselves for the customer while we were waiting on more trips of road base. Total in this area, we had about 10.5 tons of road base, class 6, 3/4 minus, whatever you want to call it. We went pretty deep. We wanted a solid bed on there since they were going to be backing up a RV, I think, or a trailer down that driveway side. Here you see me again working with the yard, just in between while they were framing. So glad I had my 85 instead of my old S70. Worked out really nice with this machine. The framing went pretty quick actually. It was just straight out that side, along the front, and then up against the fence. I remember for the longest time growing up, most of the guys framing, and even now, once in a while, people will use nails. But one time I showed up on a project, the contractor was using screws, and I've been using them since. It just makes it easier when you're framing, easier to pop forms off. I mean, I can do both, but I enjoy screws better. And I can sometimes reuse the screws, which we collect them and we reuse them on a lot of spots. But framing this was pretty quick. We ran our mason line from the left side over to the right. We left a little area open where I had to come in the following day to put the bend in there. But we put in some stakes to prop it up. Eventually, we laid down some kickers, brought in the remainder of the road base, make sure it was very well watered, compacted, got it really, really, really hard to make sure it wasn't going anywhere. Even though we were attaching to a pour that we had originally done and we know that wasn't going anywhere, we wanted to just go through this, ensure that it could also support the what we were attaching to, make sure it was over engineered like all our jobs. When you're watering it, you want to make sure you don't overdo it. Basically, you saturate the surface to the point where it almost puddles, and then you let it sit there for about 15 minutes, and then you can go over it with your compactor. After framing and getting the road base in there, we came back the following day to lay rebar. My wife out absolutely kicking butt, go flying through it while I was putting in some kickers and other things. As for the kickers, it's pretty quick. You lay them down about a half inch past. You put your stake in at an angle in. You hit them back, and then you screw it in. And then for the fence, all I did was a couple pieces of wood between the form and the fence, so the fence bared a lot of the weight on that side. But it was in, out pretty quick, done. Thanks to all those B&N rebar handling tools, the cutter, the tire, we were able to fly through this. I mean, it also helps that my wife just knows exactly what to do. She goes right through it, lays it out, I cut them, and then she'll go through with that tiger tire and tie them all up. Once all that's said and done, we'll start laying our chairs. But I mean, a really good sense of teamwork can go a really long way on projects like this. Me and her just started doing our final touches and everything.
Woo, fast as lightning.
You see how quickly she goes through it with that tiger tire. Before we used to use a little hook and loop method, which is pretty fast, and then there's the spool of wire and plier method, which other guys use. But a single person with that tiger tire can go as fast as two or three other people doing the other methods. It's not as tight, so if you're like installing a rebar in a wall, it's not perfect. But on stuff like this, oh, it's great, and we can fly right through it. You can see me putting the chairs in for the pour.
All right, guys, we got everything framed. Rebar is laid. Everything's excavated. All that's left is the pour. See you guys tomorrow at the pour. Have a great day, guys.
You want it?
Not to the top, but I'll just tell you when.
Yeah, that's just
Keep
flat.
it coming, keep it coming. Perfect, right there. Look at that fancy thing. Woo!
Man, on jobs where we don't need pumps, I am glad we have the buggy, because at the low slumps that we pour, pumps tend to get clogged. It's hard to deal with. And then the ones that we use that are 3-4 inch hoses, it requires 2-3 man teams. And this, once I'm done, just a quick washing out of the bucket, and that's it, in and out. So I'm glad we have the buggy to pour our concrete, move our materials. But it took us about 30 minutes to unload everything. Total was about 6 yards because of the thickened edge. There was a bit of concrete. Everything came out pretty good. We made a little bit of mess, so we spent some of the time, me and my wife, cleaning up the existing concrete, but it wasn't too much trouble.
Porque compañía ganaba. Yo, ojalá no. Con la doble A. Con la GP Country. Órale. Órale. Vamos a ver. Creo que la pinche compañía nos tiene acabada uno, los güeyes. Prenderlo, ¿no? Sí, ¿para qué? Para no batallar. Para no ir batallando tanto, primo. Y para vamos a hacerlo.
And hon, your knee pads are over there.
We could have done more joints around the perimeter to make it look like a sidewalk on the patio, but we decided to keep that at a minimum since everything's so well reinforced. We knew it was going to stay hairline, and we didn't want too many lines. We wanted to kind of match the patio some. But all in all, I mean, it's set up quick. We got on top of it. We knocked it out. It was a warmer day. We poured at 10 because we're still in between suppliers. And but the pour came out really nice. Really, really nice. The broom went in there. Afterwards, we ended up spraying a cure on the concrete so that it would slow the evaporation of moisture off the surface to make sure it cured slowly. But the job came out well. The customers were really happy. We were, you can see here, I'm kind of sweeping off the existing patio, making sure that the mess we made doesn't get stuck to the existing. We wait till it dries a little bit, till it'll come off, and then you just brush it off. Use a little wire brush and then a normal broom. After it was all said and done, we poured at 10, and we were brooming it and wrapping up around 12:30. Set up a little quicker than most pours because we started a little later. But all in all, came out real nice, and we were really happy with it, and so was the customer.
All right, guys, poured 10 a.m. 4000 stealth fiber number 3 fiberglass rebar, 2 feet off center. Came out really well. We're gonna be spraying some cure on this in a little while because it's gonna be a warm day. There it is, guys. What do you think? Added the extension to this. That has a little bit of slope going that way because we had to connect to that, which we originally poured, which was connected to that over there. But apart from that, we did the face over there. Everything came out looking real good. Thanks for taking a look, guys. Hope you guys like what you saw. There it is, guys. Another one done and another one happy customer. Hey guys, everything is done. We poured this at 10 in the morning, if you can remember. We decided to spray this with a J10W white resin cure. Today is hot. Today is windy. We like making sure that the surface of the concrete cures evenly. What this does is every single little drop that you see here is currently suspended by a solvent. Eventually that solvent goes away and those little drops will drop to the surface and spread out. What this does is it keeps moisture inside the concrete. It reflects light from the surface, so it reduces the amount, I guess, of curing that's happening on the surface so that it all cures evenly, cures slowly. As we all know, concrete does not dry, it cures. And if you can get it slower over a longer period of time, it is better for the concrete. But if you're curious about the product, it is Dayton Superior J10W white resin cure. They have a white city cure, they have a white wax cure, but this is the one that we use. It actually looks really nice. Also helps it cure a lot more evenly. If you're doing multiple pours, like on a large driveway, you use this and it'll help them all cure evenly throughout so they match better. But there it is, guys. See you next week.